Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams here on Boxing Along the Beltway. Our news and notes for this week, and of course, we have a busy weekend this coming weekend, Friday and Saturday, May 13th and 14th. Not only here in the Beltway, but also in the country on the amateur side. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But also, that's technically in the Beltway as well. Now we think about it, because that will be in Salisbury. So we already gave you a recap last week of the Friday, May 13th card. That'll be at the DC Armory. That's Dusty Hernandez Harrison taking on Mike Dallas Jr. in the main event. We do have one update on that card. We'll get to that in just a second. But a lot of this podcast will deal with the Saturday, May 14th card that'll be held at the Maryland State Fairgrounds in Timonium, Maryland. You can hear that broadcast live right here on the Boxing Along the Beltway Google app for Android. And also, if you subscribe to Boxing Along the Beltway on Spreaker.com and iHeartRadio.com, you'll be able to hear it live on there as well, and also on YouTube. You'll be able to hear it as well. So that's on the air 4:55 p.m. Eastern Time from the Maryland State Fairgrounds in Timonium, Maryland. We'll talk a lot about that as well. Before we get to the previews, of course, a couple good bouts, good victories for Beltway boxers over the weekend, this past weekend. On May 7th, Saturday, May 7th, on the undercard of Canelo Alvarez and Amir Khan, that brutal knockout by Alvarez. On the undercard that show, Lamont Roach Jr. won his bout, 8-round unanimous decision, looked dominant in that contest. Really looked good. He busted his opponent's eye all to pieces, and really just was really dominant in that win. So Lamont Roach Jr. now 11-0 with 3 KOs, really looking good so far. We'll see what happens down the road with him. And also on Sunday, now we didn't know about this card when we recorded our podcast last week. This bout kind of came up all of a sudden, but Sunday, May the 8th, Alantez Fox won his bout over the weekend. That was on the undercard of a Sunday Bounce TV card in Lakeland, Florida, at the Lakeland Event Center. And Alantez Fox won a 4-round technical knockout over Milton Nunez. That's the same Nunez that got stopped by Damon Nicholson last time. Not the last time Nicholson fought, but a fight he had here in Washington, D.C. Nicholson stopped him, and Fox did the same, looked very good. Nunez came in way overweight. He came in as a light heavy at 175, and Fox came in around 165 or so, and it took him a little bit. He did get rocked a little bit early in the fight from what I've heard, according to reports that I've read about the bout, but he righted the ship very quickly and was able to dominate the rest of the way, and Nunez could not come out for the 5th round. So Alantez Fox remains undefeated, and good things hopefully will be coming for him as well. So that's a brief recap of what happened this past weekend. Now, again, we have the card at the DC Armory on Friday, May 13th, at the DC Armory. Doors open at 6:30. The first bout, I believe, is at 7:15. And one bout that just got added to this card, this could be interesting as well. It's a heavyweight originating from China by the name of Zile Big Bang Zhang. And he is 8-0 with 5 KOs. He is 6'6" tall. He trains out of Las Vegas now. And he'll be taking on John Orr out of Kansas City, Missouri. He's 1-7. So that's the card bout that's been added. So I believe there are 8 bouts now on that card, and it should be very interesting to see. Thomas Snow being the co-feature, and don't forget the telecast of the main event in the co-feature that features Dusty Hernandez Harrison in the main event, Thomas K.O. Snow in the co-feature, and also Dermani Rock, the heavyweight out of Philadelphia, will make his pro debut, and he'll be on the televised undercard, a televised portion of the card, taking on Rockville, Maryland heavyweight Carlos the DC Diamond Cutter Black. And that'll be Dermani Rock's pro debut coming up on that night, and that you'll see that on the show. BET's telecast begins at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, May 13th, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and it's also being streamed live on Jay-Z's Tidal app or Tidal system, whatever it's called. So you can be able to see it live on the Tidal app as well. So that'll be Friday, May 13th at the DCR. And once again, the doors open at 6:30 and the first bell is 7:15. Now let's move to Saturday, May 14th. The Shaw Style Promotion Shabazz Brothers card taking place at the Maryland State Fairgrounds in Timonium, Maryland. Now, I'll tell you this much. One of the reasons why you've been a little slow in putting information about this card out is there's been so many changes on this card. I mean, even when we first started talking about this card, talking about the original main event, which was scheduled to be James Keep 'em Sleeping Stevenson against Cecil McCullough, that bout went out the window. One of the bouts that we talked about a couple weeks ago has now gone. It's now off the card. And that was Terrell Showshocker Samuel against Joshua Davis. That fight is off. So there's only going to be one Maryland State championship bout, and that's the main event. Travis Sevier Reeves out of Baltimore, 11-2-2, 5 KOs. Taking on Larry the Hitman Pryor out of Frederick, Maryland. He's 9-13, 5 KOs. Another bout that's also on the card, and I tell you, this could be the showstopper of the night, in all honesty. Tyra Shea Douglas, who's now billing herself as the most feared woman in women's boxing. We'll see. But she takes on Anahi Torres out of Mexico. Douglas is 10-1 with 4 KOs. Anahi Torres, 13-13-1, 2 KOs. This bout scheduled for 8 2-minute rounds, that situation. So we'll see. And that usually, the women's bouts sometimes steal the show. When you got a boxer as talented as Tyra Shea Douglas is, you know why they steal the show. And that's going to be very interesting as well. And Anahi Torres, from what I've been told, is no joke. She's going to be tough. So it could be very interesting to see. And that's the 8-round co-feature bout on this card. Now, some of the bouts that are definitely on the bill for this card coming up on Saturday, May 14th. And we talked about this briefly last week. When they announced this card, we're going to go into a little bit deeper now. James Keep 'em Sleeping Stevenson out of Baltimore, welterweight. He will be on the card. He'll take on Kevin the Scarecrow Womack, also from Baltimore, Kevin Womack Jr. Now, Stevenson is 22-2, 15 KOs. And the thing about Stevenson is that he has not, when he was asked to step up and get into the bright lights a little bit and be on television, quite frankly, he just hasn't done well. I mean, there's been some good bouts, but a couple bouts he's lost. He's lost 2 of his last 3. He just didn't fight well. He really didn't. He got off to slow starts and couldn't recover. One bout against Larry Ventress, I think it was, he knocked him down, and Ventress came back and won that. So he lost 2 of his last 3. He's 22-2, 15 KOs. And his last loss, we said, 8-round unanimous decision to Roberto Garcia. He hasn't fought, Stevenson's not fought since April of last year. So he's been out a year against Chicago. He fought Garcia in Chicago, Illinois. Now, Womack, on the other hand, has been very busy up to this point. He has not fought in 2016, and probably because he needed a rest. I mean, he had fought one time, I think he fought 6 bouts in maybe 2 months. And his record now 7-10-3, 5 KOs. He's lost 5 in a row to boxers that have a combined one-loss record of 41-1-1. And he's lost some tough bouts. He's also won some bouts, surprised some people. So if the right Kevin Scarecrow Womack shows up, as I said last week, this could be a very interesting bout on Saturday. So that's a 6-round bout. James Keep 'em Sleeping Stevenson takes on Kevin the Scarecrow Womack. In another bout that could be very interesting, Devin Butcher, undefeated super middleweight out of Baltimore, he'll go up to the 6-rounders for the first time, and he couldn't probably pick a tougher boxer to go up against in his first 6-rounder than Tennille Goico out of Philadelphia. Now, Butcher has really come on strong. He's 5-0, 3 KOs, and his last 3 wins have all come by knockout, including a 4th-round knockout of Darrell Watkins on December 12th. That was at the the Burns Arena in Baltimore, Maryland. Excuse me. Now, Goico is 7-8-1, 3 KOs. Now, he hasn't fought since November 14, 2014. He won a 6-round unanimous decision over Dennis Hassan. That was in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. But every time Goico is in Baltimore, he seems to do very well. And back in 2014, he had 2 really strong performances that make this a very interesting bout if there's no real rust for Tennille Goico going forward. Back in April 2014, he knocked out Jeremy Trussell in the 6th round. Brutal knockout. Both these bouts, by the way, took place at the Patapsco Arena in Baltimore. And it really shook Trussell up to the point where he really couldn't get himself back together. He's now taking a break, if not, definitely retired from the sport, because that was a brutal knockout. It was right at the 6th round. Trussell was doing well in that fight, memory serves me correct, but he got caught big time. He got caught, and that was a tough one for him. Now, in August of 2014, same location, the Patapsco Arena, Goico lost by 4th round knockout stoppage to Damon Nicholson on that card. Now, I say stoppage and not knockout because there was some controversy when that bout should have been stopped. And really, Goico had given Nicholson, in my opinion, up to that point in Nicholson's career, one of the toughest battles he had had. And you could make a case that Goico was winning that bout up until Nicholson got going in the 4th round and got the stoppage. And looking back on that bout, there was a debate whether that bout was stopped too early. So it was a very tough bout. I mean, Goico was very good in that bout. So it comes back to the situation, same with Kevin Womack. If the right to Neil Goico shows up on Saturday, that could be a very tough bout. No question about that. That could be a very, very tough bout on Saturday, May 14th. So that is, once again, Devin Butcher, undefeated out of Baltimore, taking on Neil Goico out of Philadelphia. That bout scheduled for 6 rounds. Also in the card, Rockville, Maryland, welterweight Shingaskan Tazabai. He returns to action. He'll be in a 4-round bout against the debuting Ahmet the Turk Karatili. I think it's pronounced Karatili. Now, Karatili is out of Fairfax, Virginia by way of Turkey. Okay, and Shingaskan Tazabai is out of Rockville, Maryland by way of Kazakhstan. Tazabai is 3-0, 2 KOs. He went the distance for the first time in his young career, winning a 4-round unanimous decision over Ryrus Dudley on April 1st. That was on the Adrian Broner Ashley Theophane card at the DC Armory. And I remember Tazabai was not very happy with his performance that night. So we'll see what happens. Now, Karatili is starting to get a reputation as a mixed martial arts fighter. He's 5-1 as an MMA fighter. He actually was 0-1 and then won his last 5 as a mixed martial artist. So he makes his pro debut as a boxer on this card. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. So that's a 4-round bout. Shingaskan Tazabai against Ahmet Karatli of Fairfax, Virginia. Baltimore super middleweight Stefan the Surgeon Morris. A lot of people like this kid. He takes on Derek Natifo of Georgia in a 4-round encounter. The Baltimore super middleweight Morris, 1-0, 1 KO. He made his pro debut on that December 12th card at the Burns Arena. Scored a 2nd-round TKO over Casanova Brooks in Baltimore at the Burns. Natifo last fought in February of 2015, lost to Orlando Jewell by the 2nd-round TKO in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, also, interesting heavyweight bout. We talked about this briefly last week. All Baltimore heavyweight bout scheduled for 4 rounds. Colby Madison out of Baltimore takes on Lonnie Cornegay. Now, Madison has only been a pro for 30 seconds. It only took him 30 seconds to knock out Dominique Barnes, who's out of Wilson, North Carolina. Knocked him out April 9th in Springfield, Virginia, the ABC Sports Complex. Cornegay, it's going to be interesting to see what Madison does, because he goes from a guy who, quite frankly, can't spell fight in Dominique Barnes, and that's just because he's from Wilson, North Carolina, to a guy that, if nothing else, knows how to survive about as well as any boxer I've seen at that level. That's Lonnie Cornegay. Cornegay is 1-12-3. He will look to bounce back from a 4-round unanimous decision loss to Mike Balogun. Now, that was the first time Balogun, and in fact the only time so far that Balogun has gone the distance. We'll see what happens when he fights coming up on Friday night at the DC Armory. But Balogun, Cornegay lost to Balogun by 4-round unanimous decision. That was on July 24th at the Horseshoe Casino in Baltimore. Cornegay has only been knocked. We talked about this before. Cornegay has only been knocked out 1 time in his pro career. That came in his pro debut. And when you hear the name, for those who have not heard this, the name of the guy who knocked him out, knocked out just about everybody at that time period in his career. And his pro debut came up against Darnell, the Dingaling Man Wilson. It was in September 2001 at Michael's 8th Avenue in Glen Burnie, Maryland. Cornegay lost by 2nd-round TKO. And that was a time, as I said, Darnell Wilson was knocking out everybody. That was at a cruiserweight, by the way. And he was knocking out everybody at that point in his career. So Cornegay technically has not been knocked out as a heavyweight before. And he's faced some good people. And again, Matt Balogun was knocking out everybody up until that point. So Cornegay 112-3. He last fought against Mike Balogun back on July 24th at the Horseshoe Casino in Baltimore. So that could be very interesting as well. So that's a 4-round bout. Kobe Madison out of Baltimore, and an all Baltimore bout against Lonnie Cornegay. Sea Pleasant, Maryland featherweight James Early makes his Beltway debut on this card. He takes on Tyshae Ferguson of Danville, Virginia in a 4-round contest. Now, Early made his pro debut at the Masonic Temple in Norfolk, Virginia on March 5th, won a 4-round unanimous decision over Arthur Parker. Ferguson is 0-5. He lost his last bout by second-round TKO to Devontae Allen on March 11th in Weirton, West Virginia. I believe he has lost 4 of his 5 bouts by knockout. So James Early will fight closer to home this time around for the first time as he takes on Tyshae Ferguson. Baltimore light heavyweight Marvin Farja Johnson makes his pro debut against the equally debuting Brian Stevens of Indiana. That's a 4-round bout. Johnson is the son of legendary Baltimore-based trainer out of Umar Gym. That's Marvin the Mad Dog McDowell. So we'll see how Marvin Johnson does as a pro for the first time. Also on the card, undefeated Douro, Ontario, Canada middleweight Cody Crowley, who's 7-0 4 KOs, takes on Corey McCants of Cincinnati, Ohio. He's 2-14-2 who won KO. Now, Crowley last fought on March 19th, won a 6-round unanimous decision over Antonio Chavez Fernandez in Boston, Massachusetts. Crowley will make his second trip to Baltimore. Last time he was on that December 12th card at Du Burns. He scored a first-round knockout over Kevin Cooper on that night. And McCants has lost 4 in a row, but he's gone the distance in each bout. So that's the card right now. There are some talk of some card bouts coming in for a couple other boxers. We'll have that on the blog sometime this week as soon as we can get all the information in. So again, this card has been in flux for quite some time. It's kind of a weird situation for that. We do know that Seth Billups probably will not be on the card. He was scheduled to be on this card. He will not be on the card. There's a possibility Eric Hernandez, El Torito, out of Virginia. He will not be on the card. Matthew Abregu is still scheduled to be on this card, but they're right now having difficulties finding an opponent for him. So he may be added to this card, and I think there are a couple other people from outside the area who are scheduled to be on the card. So right now they're looking at anywhere from 11 to 13 bouts on this show. So it could be a long night. And if it is, of course, we'll have as many podcasts we need, live podcasts we need to do the show. But we're on the air, 4:55 Eastern Time on Saturday, May 14th. We're live from the Maryland State Fairgrounds in Timonium, Maryland. Of course, that's Wi-Fi permitting. And if all goes well, we'll be able to bring you live coverage of that Shaw Style Promotions Shabazz Brothers card. And it'll be brought to you live, as this podcast is brought to you, by the way, by Real Time Pain Relief. Real-time pain relief. You rub it on, the pain is gone in real time. Go to www.stopachesandpains.com. So that's May 14th, May 13th, the doubleheader, back-to-back shows, I should say. DC Army on May 13th. We'll be giving you some podcasts, and of course, we'll be blogging live on boxlawnbeltway.blogspot.com. We'll try to do as many live interviews as we can throughout the evening. And then, of course, we'll be live blow by blow on Saturday, May 14th. On the Maryland State Fairgrounds. So subscribe to download the Box On Beltway Google app for Android. You can also subscribe on iOS users. If you have an iPhone, you subscribe to the Box On Beltway pages on Spreaker.com and iHeartRadio.com. Also coming up this weekend is the Regional Junior Olympics. That'll be May 13th through the 15th at the Main Street Gym in Salisbury, Maryland. In the PVA section, the DC region is sending 34 boxers to this championship. So we should come back with some good hardware there, and we'll see what happens with the group going down to Salisbury, Maryland, and the Main Street Gym. Now, the boxing action continues in the area. On Saturday, May 21st, we'll be at the ABC Sports Complex in Springfield, Virginia for a Left Hook Promotions card. That's Scott Farmer doing the job there as promoter. And we got some of the bouts that are going to be on that card. Actually, some of the boxes are going to be on that card. One bout we're interested in is, of course, Scott Farmer's son. That's Andrew the Do-Man Farmer, who hasn't fought since he lost that bout in 2014 to Danny O'Connor. That was live on national television back in 2014. But Andrew Farmer, 18-3, 7 KOs, take on a somewhat familiar name in this area, Joseph Figueroa. He's out of Brooklyn, New York. He's 11-58-5 with 3 KOs. But his last bout was actually April 9th here at the ABC Sports Complex in Springfield, Virginia. And that was on a Jetter Promotions card. He took on Jetter Promotions' first signee, Stevie Weimer, and lost a 6-round unanimous decision to Weimer. Fought pretty well. He was very tough. So he faces a taller guy because everybody really is taller than Figueroa. Figueroa's kind of short. And he will take on Andrew Farmer in the main event on that card. That'll be on Saturday, May 21st. Also on the card, actually not a whole lot of Beltway guys on this card. Edgar the Tiger Torres is going to be there. Of course, he trains at the ABC Sports Complex in Springfield. He's 8-1. Dan Scholl, who lost to Nick Kisner, will be on that show. And actually, the only other guy that I halfway know is Earl Platt out of Virginia Beach, Virginia. He's 4-2. He's taking on Terrence T. Brick Roy. Now, originally, I thought this was the Terrence T. Brick Roy who fought out of, I think it was out of Front Royal, Virginia, who was a cruiserweight. But I'm hearing it's the other Terrence T. Brick Roy, who's out of Covington, Tennessee. It's a welterweight bout. Terrence T. Brick Roy is 11-49, and he has been a mainstay over the years. So that is that Terrence T. Brick Roy. I thought it was actually the one making a comeback, the cruiserweight out of Virginia, but it was not. So we'll give you more detail about that show next week coming up about that particular card. We'll be hopefully bringing that card to you live here on the Box on the Beltway Google app for Android. Now, we're hearing some bouts coming up in June for some Beltway boxers. June 4th. We just heard about this one. Just got the word on this one recently. Actually, it was today. Actually, before we went on the air. David Grayton is going to be on a card on June 4th. And he's taking on Bryant Goodfella Perella. And he's out of Fort Myers, Florida. It's a battle of undefeated boxers. And it's going to be a co-feature on a card that'll take place on June 4th, Saturday, June 4th, from the Bell Center in Montreal, Canada, be televised live on ESPN. So we'll see what happens there. We'll give you more details about that in the weeks to come. And also June 4th here in the Beltway, we'll be at the ABC Sports Complex once again for a Jetter Promotions card that night. But yeah, June 4th, that'll be a situation there. David Grayton undefeated. Bryant Perella is also undefeated. So that should be a very interesting bout. It's a 10-rounder from what I've been told. And neither boxer has ever gone 10 rounds before. So that should make it very interesting also. Artur Beterbiev is going to be in the main event of that bout, that card. And Beterbiev is a tough light heavyweight who knocked out Alexander the Great Johnson in one of his last bouts. So that's going to be a very interesting card. And that's on Saturday, June 4th. From the Bell Center in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. June 11th in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, Michael the Professor Fox is scheduled to be on the card there. And on Saturday, June 18th, I believe that's the date that Mike Yes Indeed Reed returns. And he'll be at Madison Square Garden in New York on Saturday, June 18th. We'll give you all the details about that and that situation coming up in the next couple of weeks. So that would do it. Very short podcast tonight. Don't forget, big weekend on tap. See if you can make both shows. If you can make both shows, that'd be great. Friday, June 13th, we're at the ABC. I'm sorry. Friday, June 13th, we're at the DC Armory. So not the ABC, but the DC Armory in Washington, D.C. Dusty Hernandez Harrison taking on Mike Dallas Jr. Thomas Snow in the co-feature against Orlando Del Valle. And a whole lot more. Mike Ballaghan and many others on that card Friday, May 13th, from the DC Army. Remember, the doors open at 6:30. First bell's at 7:15. The card will be streamed live on the Tidal app, and also the BET telecast begins at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Then on Saturday, May 14th, we're on live from the Maryland State Fairgrounds in Timonium, Maryland, for the Short Style Promotions, Shabazz Brothers Promotions card. And by the way, the 13th card is, of course, a Throne Boxing Rock Nation card. We shouldn't overlook that. But Short Style Promotions, Shabazz Brothers, coming Saturday, May 14th. The Maryland State Fairgrounds, Timonium, Maryland. Hope you can join us for that as well live. If not, catch all the action right here on the Boxing on the Beltway Google app for Android, and for iOS users on Spreaker.com and iHeartRadio.com. Subscribe to either page, and you can listen to the broadcast live underway at 4:55 p.m. Eastern Time. So hope you can join us for that. That'll do it here for our News and Notes podcast. Remember, it's brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief. Rub it on, the pain is gone in real time. Go to www.stopachesandpains.com. I'm Gary Digital Williams. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Look forward to seeing you this weekend, either in D.C. and or in Timonium, Maryland. Until then, thanks for listening. Always remember to keep supporting the best boxing in the world, the boxing along the Beltway. Take care.